I'm Darian Slayton Fleming, and thank you for joining me on Get What You Need and Feel Good About It. Do you find it difficult to ask for what you need? Do you frequently feel misunderstood? Do you have a problem or cause that you would like to learn to manage more effectively? What makes it so hard for us to tell each other how we feel? And how do we speak up for ourselves so we get what we need and feel good about it? How do we do this respectfully so that we honor the needs and feelings of others? Together, we'll explore tips, strategies, and resources that, when used mindfully and consistently, will improve our results and enrich our relationships. Hello, and welcome back to Get What You Need and Feel Good About It. Today, I am revisiting the idea of being a mindful parent, and this episode is called Mindful Mom. I am joined again by Juli Womack. Julie is the founder of Mindful Mom, where she creates a space for healing and hope for moms enduring the angst of disconnection from their grown children. She is a certified happiness trainer who teaches others how they can maintain their happiness despite the challenges that come through our lives. Through her own journey of loss and self-discovery, Julie finds peace and joy in everyday life and now helps other moms do the same. Julie offers her authentic self while sharing mindful practices, honest conversations, and a safe space where moms can heal, rediscover, and remember that joy is still possible. What a wonderful way to begin. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you, Darian. So nice to be here again.
Nice to have you back. Julie, tell us what inspired you to create your Mindful Mom project.
Okay, well, honestly, I really didn't set out to create anything like this. It grew out of my own personal experience. I went through a really difficult season with my grown daughter where we became very distant. And as a single mom who raised one child, that was a pretty tough pill to swallow. So I never imagined I'd end up in that space of separation after being so close for so long. So really, it just came out of my own journey.
Some of you who have been listening to my podcast know that I have been through a similar experience, and my son and I had a lot of conflict in our lives, and we were beginning the healing process when he overdosed and lost his life in February. And so my connection with Julie since I met her about a year ago has just been so warm and supportive and comforting. And I really consider you a friend. And thanks for being there for me
Oh,
and other moms.
oh, I feel the same, Darian. I mean, I believe we crossed paths for a reason, and that was partly to start our healing. So thank you.
Right. So, what do you want moms to know about facing this issue of separation?
Well, what I want parents to know is that when we do the work to heal ourselves, we're not just healing our own hearts, we're actually healing our children and even our grandchildren. So statistically speaking, when parents and adult children don't find healing that they need, the likelihood is high that the pattern will repeat. So without any tools for conflict resolution, they may struggle in their own relationships down the line. So the pain doesn't stop with us and it gets passed on. So what's so important is, as moms, we really have to realize that we have the strength to overcome this. We are their role models for how to handle life's difficulties despite our own flaws. And we have many flaws, but as moms, we don't give up trying to find solutions, even when we don't know the answers. Even though when we don't know the answers ourselves, and even when they're grown. So when we go first by choosing healing and showing up differently, they will follow. Our healing becomes their blueprint.
In fact, the statistic that we learned about in our Happy for No Reason certification training is that 50% of our happiness set point is determined by genetics,
Yep,
and that if patterns continue, like you said, Julie,
yep,
then the unhappiness and the unhealthy patterns pass down through the generations. And if we can model healthy habits now,
yep.
we can turn that around, and that statistic then becomes 95%
That's
of the set point. It increases to 95%.
Yes, yes, that's so true. That's so true. And we don't even realize that, right? So we have to really be aware of what we're modeling.
Right. And I do want to point out too, though, that many of us carry a lot of guilt,
Yep.
and I know I do. And I went through the process recently after my son died of asking myself, what can I forgive myself for?
Hmm?
And I realized that I did a lot of things right.
Yes, 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 exactly. That is so important to realize that because we do shower ourselves with this guilt and then we cloud our minds forgetting that we were great parents. We didn't know what we were doing, but you know what? We survived it and we did some really great things. So we kind of forget about that when we're drowned in our guilt.
What would you say when asked, how can I fix things if I'm feeling cut off?
Well, it's not really our responsibility to fix anything, as we all must live with the choices we make. That's how we learn. And that being said, when our kids cut us off, it can feel pretty impossible to heal. But here's the thing, healing doesn't start with them, it starts with us. We don't have to wait for reconciliation in order to begin our own repair work. So I feel that that's what our responsibility is. So when we do the inner work, whether it's through self-reflection, therapy, spiritual practices, or learning new communication skills, we create the possibility of a different future. Even our children aren't ready, even though our children aren't ready to come back to us right now, they can still feel the shift in us. Every bit of healing we do sends out an energy that the universe just can't help but to respond to. And the universe is good. The universe is on our side. And when they become parents, the healthier version of us is the one that will be modeled for their kids. And that matters.
What do you think moms need the most during this challenging time?
Oh gosh, well, for me, and I truly believe this for every mom out there, connection. It's so important. This type of dysfunction in a relationship with your grown child can be a very lonely place. When I realized my daughter and I was, it was becoming more difficult, there was such a void, Darian, that I wasn't used to. And I felt as if I was the worst parent ever. I mean, I honestly believe that no one else was going through this. So I know that feeling. You get bombarded and you're like all of a sudden being accused of this and having this disrespectful behavior thrown at you. And it's just something that, you're blindsided, right? So I connected with another mom. I was luckily enough, like you, Darian, our paths crossed and at the right timing. And this friend of mine, Tracy, she was facing similar things with her son. And although we were strangers, as you and I were at the beginning, when we met, our common bond instantly made us trustworthy friends, right? So with Tracy, we kept in touch weekly and we agreed to reach out whenever we encountered those weak moments, as we all have them, because we know it's like a roller coaster, right? So that made such a difference to know that even when you're having a meltdown, someone will be there who knows exactly what you're going through. So for both of us, we did our own personal growth work separately. And as we learned tools and we shared it with each other, we got better at regulating our emotions and finding new responses to whatever we were facing, whether it's about our child or not. Because, as we all know, when you go through something like this, if you let it, you can just be a mess, right? So you need all the support you can get. And eventually, we became mindful moms, realizing we were actually made for more. We are more than, we are more confident now in our roles as moms and women in general, and learn to focus on our wholeness beyond motherhood. So the energy we carry matters. When we live from guilt and fear and doubt, that energy spills into our relationships. When we cultivate peace and self compassion, honoring who we really are, that energy radiates outward too, and it makes all the difference. So, Tracy and I we bonded, and I think that's so important because we need each other to lift each other up at different times. Because, like I said, it's a roller coaster of emotions when you're going through this. Am I doing the right thing? Should I reach out? Should I not? What do I say? And so we just supported each other, and this went on for like about a year, and I think we're in a good place now. Not all our problems are solved, or, in quotation marks, I'm putting solved, but, we just know how to deal with it better, you know?
It occurs to me that you and Tracy created a safe space for each other to have peer-to-peer
Yes.
support.
Yeah. Yes. I truly believe that works for me anyway. I mean, there are groups out there, Darian, and and I'm in some groups, but for me, my experience one-on-one, like you said, peer-to-peer, is so important because it's such a tender, sensitive time when you're going through this that and it's unique. I feel it's unique, even though it happens globally. It's really a mother's, I don't know, mother's issue. I don't know what to say, but it really is something that only a mother can understand, I feel. And so we did that, and that really did uplift each other up. So I think the intimate connection is very important. That's why I want to reach out to moms and who are looking for another mom to connect with, because not everybody has that opportunity.
Right, and in a peer-to-peer relationship,
Yes, yes,
I feel like you've been able to give me some insight that
right.
helps me hold myself accountable, but your space is a place of safety because when you go through it yourself, you don't judge others.
Yeah, 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 exactly. And sharing different perspectives at different times, really helps, and especially when it's from one person who hears you and sees you and feels you. So that's why you and I are able to share with each other, and maybe I'm having a bad day or you're having a bad day, and
What can moms do right now to begin healing?
well, I have a few. But first I would say give yourself grace. You've been through a lot. We feel like we've been beaten up for no reason. So give yourself a few minutes of meditation or silence each day just to unwind and relax without trying to figure anything out. Don't try to answer any questions, or anything. Just sit in silence for at least 5 minutes. Declutter your mind of all the accusations, guilt, and sadness, and just ground yourself and just be present in the silence. That would be number one. Another one would be listen to positive, uplifting music, because you'll get triggers, right? You'll get triggered by a memory or something else, and if you can find a good, positive, uplifting music, this can instantly change your mood. It interrupts the negative thought patterns in your head, and brings you back to a place of hope, peace, and possibility. I feel like when you're going through this, we're constantly trying to figure out, why did this happen and what can I do? And, I feel like it's important to kind of let that go and just put it out there and concentrate on ourselves. So these might seem little, like little seeds that we're planting in your mind. And little by little, the change in the atmosphere inside you will change your energy, will shift your energy, and everything around you will start to shift too. And then, of course, lastly, I would definitely say, if you can reach out to another mom, that would be the ideal thing. Joining groups might work for you, and for me, it works if I want to get some inspiration, and if I, maybe want to see what other moms are going through, if I can relate to it, that's all good. But for me, like you said, peer to peer, find another mom who is willing to face the truths, do the work, maybe pray together, just support each other in every step of the way, can be very powerful. Because the grief can be very heavy. And you want somebody who walks the same walk and is willing to work towards joy.
I think what you're saying also is that a lot of times we think that if we can fix our child, if
Mhm.
we can teach them a different way to be, that things will get better. But for you and for me too, things started getting better when I realized that I couldn't change him, but I could work on myself.
Yeah,
And there were points in my relationship with my son where when I stopped trying to fix him
right.
and I started focusing on changing my behavior,
Yeah,
he responded in kind because it gave him space to do his own work.
exactly. Exactly. The thing of it is, Darian, when we get into this situation, we're mothers, we're nurturers, and we're problem solvers. Even though we might not think that, but and so we want instant gratification. We want to teach them a lesson and move on, right? But it's not like that with grown children. I mean, they are adults now. They make their own choices, and we have to respect that and support them as well. Are the choices they make always good? No, but we just need to be their safe space also. But we can't do that until we feel safe in our own body.
Right. Where can moms find you if they want to learn more about being a mindful mom?
Well, if they want to reach out personally with a question, just want to share their story with me, they can actually email me at hello at mindfulmom808.com. And also really just connect with me on my Mindful Mom Facebook page, where I share encouragement practices and little reminders, and just offer some support. Honestly, I'm not a real big social media person, but I know that people turn to Facebook for a lot of, to release their thoughts and maybe share their wisdom. So if you're looking for daily inspiration or just want to, come have a small community that understands, that's the easiest place to start. I don't know if you want to talk about my book.
I do.
Okay. So I did create it's just a small, simple prayer book for those, maybe sensitive moments for moms while they're going through this. It's called Grace Between Us. It's an ebook, and you can find it. We'll have the link in the show notes. Um, and also, I do offer a mindful mom mentoring call which, like I said, I feel peer to peer is golden. And it's a one time call, and just for us to connect. And if, you want to continue on, we can continue on and be mindful mom friends. But the link will also be in the show notes below.
Right. All of Julie's contacts and links will be in the show notes. And before we close, I just want to talk about what it means to be mindful. And I know I'm throwing this at you
No, it's okay.
at the spur of the moment, but what made you choose to call your project Mindful Mom?
Well, because when I was going through it, I really understood how my mind got so clouded with all of these accusations, guilt, and I mean, I really started not feeling well about myself. And I just realized how sharp my mind is. I mean, and what I mean by sharp is that if you really allow it, it will take in whatever information you give it, whatever you're around. And I realized that I don't have to be that way. I can be in control of my thoughts. And as we learned in the happiness training as well, right? I mean, we can take control of it. But yet our mind is so sensitive, it'll just, whatever you feed it, it'll give it to you, and then it'll get into your heart. So you want whatever you put in your heart, whatever you're feeling in your heart, you want it to coincide with your mind. So I just told myself, okay, I'm going to start thinking positive thoughts about myself, about my situation, about everything. And I started feeling better. I started seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And I just felt like if I can be mindful of my thoughts, then things can change. I'm not sure what the change is going to be, but I know it has to be better than what I was feeling before. And that's really what was my main my main focus was to get out of pain, because I just was a very unhappy person and I didn't like that, you know. And I felt if I'm an unhappy person, everything around me I touch is just going to be unhappy. It's not going to make me happy. So I had to take control of it, and I had to decide how do I want to feel, in this moment. And it started from there.
So you really started noticing and being aware of
Right.
your thoughts and
Right.
your feelings, and then you were intentional about taking action, which included teaching yourself to reframe those thoughts and put yourself in a more positive frame of mind on
Right.
purpose.
Right. Right. And you know what's so important? What I noticed is that as I started noticing that I could, start thinking positive things and feeling positive things, if I encountered someone who was very negative or whatever, I was really aware of what they were saying. I mean, we could just be having a casual conversation at a, coffee house or whatever, and they might say like, "Oh, the service is so slow here," or something. And that would really trigger me. And I would think, well, maybe it's slow, but is that a reason to be in pain about it? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I just had these conversations with myself and I started thinking, well, you don't really have to say that. I mean, it's not a matter of life and death. That's the thing. If it's not a matter of life or death, then it's not a big deal. You should be able to just be happy that you're there. We were there having coffee, whatever, we got served. So anyway, it started off with little things like that. And then I just kind of exploded it towards my actual situation with my daughter.
So, how we think and how we act
Yeah.
doesn't just affect us, it affects the people around us. And we've said this throughout the interview. What we do, it affects other people. So if we can be mindful, it can have a huge impact on healing our
Right.
relationships.
Right. And we don't realize it, but we're how we act, how we behave, how we think, what we say. we're actually being a role model to each other. You know what I mean? So, if you want to be around positive people and they're not so positive right at the moment, don't just walk away. I mean, if you have to be in a situation, then maybe model. I mean, don't be afraid to model the goodness, that you're feeling, because that's what it's about. And, Mike Dooley says thoughts become things. So I always believe that. And so I just try to always think positive things.
As we close, then, do you have a quote that you can leave our listeners with?
Yeah, I do. Actually, I just want people to remember this. Healing doesn't mean the damage never existed. It just means the damage no longer controls us.
That is beautiful. Such great words to keep in mind. Julie, thank you for joining us today on Get What You Need and Feel Good About It.
Oh,
And
Darian.
glad to have you. Welcome, and we'll see you back next month for
Yeah,
another episode of Get What You Need and Feel Good About It.
yeah.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you very much.
Yes, the only way to do this is with hope, not hate. Hope, not hate.
Thank you for joining me today on Get What You Need and Feel Good About It. Remember, when you speak up for yourself assertively, you will get what you need and feel good about it. You will also be showing respect for yourself and for the other people in your life who are important to you. Until next time, try thinking about it like Stephanie LaHart says it.
Compassion is all
Say what you mean what you say, but don't say it mean.
before it gets too late. And the